Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and we are getting back on the Sweetheart Roadster. So I've been working on this thing in the background of some other videos that we've been working on since the last update on this car. Basically just dialing in some of the work, correcting some things I wasn't happy with. I added like a sill to the top of the doors to kind of flow into the dash, dialing in some of the gaps, getting the doors to open and shut a lot nicer and latch nicer, and we're getting to the point where I'm a lot happier with some of that stuff. Still needs some work, but I think that we are ready to move on to one of the next styling things I want to do to the car. And pretty much since I've gotten this car, or before I even had it, one thing I really wanted to do on this Roadster when I was kind of picturing in my head was kind of the sculpted or stylized hinges. A lot of the cars that were done in the 50s and even into the early 60s, the Roadsters and kind of show cars and higher end cars, they were sculpting the hinges. They were basically putting like a piece of metal on the hinges to kind of make it flow into the body, and they were doing it on Model A's, 32 Fords. You saw it on some of the cars that were at Bonneville. I think that might have been where maybe it started, was that to make the car more aerodynamic, they were doing that, and then that transferred over into show cars, and customizers were doing that. So that's what we're going to do today. Right out of the little pages, we're going to do this modification where we're going to sculpt or flow the door hinges into the door, and I'll show you the process, and hopefully it looks cool at the end. I think it should, but I'm going to show you the process step by step along the way. So let's get started. All right, so one of the first steps of doing this modification when you're looking at the little book's articles was they suggested to weld the hinge itself to the door skin and to the door structure to get everything sturdy before you start adding your pieces of metal to actually sculpt everything together. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get the TIG welder out, wire brush, and clean all this up, and we're going to weld right where the hinge at the front portion here meets the door skin. Carefully TIG weld that up. They would obviously gas weld it back in the day, but we're going to weld that up. That gets it all connected to the skin and kind of sturdy, and then we can start making our pieces to cut and get everything connected to the door skin and looking cool. All right, so the bottom hinge is pretty much, in my opinion, the most important part of this styling aspect. The top hinge is going to have a very small section to it, where the bottom hinge is the one that really gets kind of stylized when you see the old Roadsters with this, or old hot rods, custom cars with this modification. So I'm not quite sure. I have some radius gauges floating around here. I'm not sure what I want for the shape yet. So what I'm going to do is cut out some squares. I have some just chipboard here. I'm going to cut out some squares, draw the different radius that I think might work, and we'll cut them out and hold them up and see which one has the right flow to it, and then we'll make up our patterns to basically box it all in. So just a little bit of arts and crafts here first. so got all my patterns made up, went back and forth on how we were going to do this. And this is my crude mock-up here. So we got the bottom hinge here. I have that piece that kind of flows in, and this hinge sticks out quite a bit more from the body on factory on these cars. So this one doesn't stick out as much, but I have it all kind of mocked up. These little slivers and pieces I made are kind of the key because that's your shape. And then this piece on the face, you're just kind of flow into that, you know, just bend it or flow it into that and then weld it all together. So the tricky part with this is I was looking at my reference photos that I've taken at you know, different shows and collections with historic cars that have this done. And I realized that all the cars I took photos of were 32s and 32 Roadsters. The hinge is actually a little different, much like a 33-4, which I have right here. The hinge is actually like one piece and kind of shielded over the intersection instead of a piano style. So when they did those, you could just weld right to the face of this and blend it in, and it's very, very easy. On a Model A hinge, which I did not really think ahead about, it is a piano type hinge, so the fingers here are all exposed. So the way I want to do this, I think, to get the same look is I need to bring, especially on the top here, because the hinge doesn't stick out very far, we need to bring this piece out as far to the face as we can to kind of get that dramatic or get that flow there. Otherwise it's just going to be flat against the door and it's kind of pointless on the top. So I have to build this with enough clearance on this outer piece so that when you open the door, the piece of the hinge, the fingers of the piano hinge that need to like move or need that stay and the door moves around, there needs to be clearance, and then I need to weld it to the sections of the hinge that are going to be part of the door. So got to make sure, don't have a brain fart, and weld that piece to the fingers, if you want to call them that, that's what I'm calling them right now, of the hinge, because then our door will not open anymore, and then we're going to go cookie tea style and just jump in off the tire. But we're going to try not to do that if it's all possible. So I'm going to start making up my little patterns. I've already got, as I mentioned, the hinge on this side I did a while ago. When I decided that I was going to do this, I welded the hinge to the door already on this side. So this side we can just make our patterns, start welding them on, and then the other side I'll show you the process, just stitch welding the door to the hinge. So let's make some metal pieces.
And then I gotta clean my mess up. Bad. Can't really get to that. All right, that should be good, I think. All right, so that was a bunch of tedious work, and we got both the door hinges blended in, and they are satisfactory for now. We're gonna need to spend a little bit more time literally with hand files to get in these very, very tight areas, just to get some of the little weld areas knocked down and totally flush. But everything worked out pretty good. I did the driver's side first. Passenger side went a lot quicker, but I think it gives the car a really, really cool look. Just blending all that stuff in is just further, you know, kind of shaping the look of the car. And again, as I mentioned in the beginning, this is something I've been thinking about doing on the car since probably before I even had the body. So now that I got this done, we are going to continue to work our way back on the car, do some more fun little styling updates on the car, and then I got to get back into some not so fun stuff of getting the trunk lid or rumble lid to fit the car and open and shut and latch and everything that's involved in that. That's gonna be a little bit of a battle. I'll probably do a video kind of overviewing that, but I'm not gonna get super in depth on it because it's just a lot of cutting, welding, hammering, repeat, rinse, recycle, and pulling your hair out and taking coffee breaks. So thank you guys for along. Let me know what you think of the style door hinges. I know this is gonna be one of those things kind of like the headlights that you either love it or you hate it. And let me know down below what you think of it. Thanks guys, catch you later.